Hey Queens, it's me again with Queens of the Kingdom. I'm so glad to see you guys. I pray that all has been going well with you guys and that even since the last video, you guys have been able to utilize those tactics, those techniques that I put in the last video to help you. And so I want to come to you guys. I'm going to try and make it quick today and talk about something I have been thinking about lately and that kind of hit me today that I kind of want to talk to you guys about. And that is growing up without a father. Now that can mean many different things. For me, growing up without a father looked like my father was alive. He would be in my life, not necessarily consistently, but he wasn't in my household, and we had a very strained relationship. So I didn't really know him from an emotional standpoint. I didn't really know what it was like for a man to take care of me as father. You know, just picking me up, holding me, or being that just like lovey-dovey father, kisses and hugs and talking about relationship advice, how to stay away from this type of boy and go, accept or, that type of boy, or change a tire, all of these things. I felt like I had missed out on that fatherly experience growing up. And some of you guys may register with that. Some people, though, may not have had a father at all, meaning that either that person skipped out or that person was deceased. So at some point in your life. So whatever that looks like to you, I want to talk to you guys about it because the solution, the remedy is the same for every case. And that is to find out and understand and receive God as your father. And I know that might sound cliche, God the Father, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, we know God the Father. But for me, it was very pivotal. And I'm going to try to go through this quickly. But for me, I reached a point in my life where I was angry at everything and I was lashing out at everything and everyone. And for me, I didn't necessarily really understand where it was coming from. But at one point, I remember hearing, your relationship with your father, basically. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was the truth. So I had to sit down one day and kind of like think through and write out how I felt about it, because I hadn't really addressed it. And I'm from one, especially at this point in my life, I know for a fact that for females, and I'm speaking from a female perspective because I'm a female, not having a father in your life could be detrimental if you don't know God as your father. And even if you do have a father in your life, you don't know God as your father, it can still be detrimental. Because a father, God the Father, a father naturally would protect, provide, encourage. And one of the major things that the father does is helps you see your identity. And so if you see, so I was like the poster child for not having a father. So my identity, it was all like, it was so jumbled. I don't really know who I was. And so for me, my identity became wrapped up in either things that people said I was, so intelligent or, smart or something like that growing up. Or at one point it became wrapped up in who I was dating at the time. And so when that person left, my whole world just kind of crumbled and crashed. And so that for me was an eye-opener, like, okay, I really don't know who I am. But that's who God the Father is. He's the one that provides, he's the one that protects, he's the one that encourages, consoles, and he gives identity. So in the same way, a natural father is to do the same thing. And so I had to, I talked about this video before, but I looked at Proverbs 31 series on YouTube by Joshua Azzi. It was posted, I think, like 2013, 2014. I was in college at the time. But he pointed out Psalm 139, which was a life changer for me. I've talked about this before in a couple videos. But because I didn't have a father, because I didn't know a man in a fatherly way like that, oftentimes I felt overlooked by men. And I didn't know how to, one, respect a man, or two, receive love from a man unless it was in a relationship, unless it was in a romantic relationship. And in some ways, you kind of equate that with love equals sex. And so it's easy to look at men as objects in that way if you don't really know love like you should. And so looking at Psalm 139, like I said, I felt overlooked. I felt like I wasn't seen as someone of interest because I didn't have my father in my life like that. It didn't seem to me as like I was a priority. And so when you look at Psalm 139, I'm going to read a couple of verses. It says, "O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord." And even just the rest of that chapter, to me, that says that God pursues me, that God is interested in me. You ever seen a conversation between a teacher and a parent, or a parent and another parent, or something like that, and there's someone accusing that parent's child of doing something? So if someone says your child stole a piece of candy out of the store or something like that, the parent, if they know the child really well, which they tend to, they're like, no, my child doesn't steal. No, my child may have lied before, but my child does not steal. And then the truth comes out, oh, it wasn't the child, it was the friend, or if that was the case, that parent's like, oh yeah, I know my child probably did. Go put it back. That parent knows, or, you would see or think that, parents have that eye in the back of their head. Like, did you just roll your eyes at me after I just told you to go back to your room? And you're like, how in the world did she see that? How did she see that? Parents know their children. And so for me, when I read that, I was just like, wow, God knows me. I'm a priority to God. God cares about me. And then that whole journey of knowing him as God the Father just kind of like just took off from me. And, some days it was difficult because I had to really sometimes visualize myself hugging God, or visualize God holding me. Because like I said, I never had that. But for me, in understanding or receiving God as my Father, I had to do that. And then once I was able to see him as God the Father, like I said earlier, what does the Father do? Well, he provides. Then I looked at God, the provider, Jehovah Jireh. Then I looked at, okay, God is a protector. Dads are protectors, so God is my protector. God keeps me safe. So all that stuff just opened doors for me to just kind of know God in a better light. And then, if y'all remember in my last video, I was like, once you get your relationship with God together, then all those other relationships can line up, and it's true. So once I was able to get that together and know him, and then understand my identity in him, because like I said, I didn't have that relationship with my father, so I didn't know my identity. So when I looked at God, and God was like, you were fearfully and wonderfully made in this very chapter, and a slew of other things, you're worth far more than rubies. Okay, so then I was like, oh, okay, I know my identity now. I know, I don't have to be wrapped up in other things that people say. No, I'm wrapped up in what God tells me I am. Then I was able to go back and kind of get my relationship with my father together. So I had to forgive him. I had to go and say, okay, I didn't like my father for doing that. I actually resented him for doing that. I resented him for not being there. And I had to be real and go through the list, and I had to forgive him, because I realized that all that time I was holding what he did to me against him, and it was just really affecting me. Like, it really wasn't, I don't know what it was doing to him, but child, it was affecting me. And I was like, look, I'm tired of this. No, but seriously, I had to forgive him. And then you get to a point where I remember I used to say, God, why do I have to be the bigger person and go to him first? I'm the child, so why isn't he? But I was like, okay, I need to get this together, because this is really affecting me, and I really want to have that relationship with him. And so I was able to go to him and we talked about it. We talked about how we felt and all those things. And now, honey, we're doing good. We are, progressing. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that, my heart goes out to you. I know it's not easy. However, we have to allow God to heal us, so that we can move forward, because that is just, I mean, I don't care how much you try to mask it or jump over it and not talk about it. When you address it, that is when you're going to feel a release of a load just coming off of you, literally. You're going to feel a release. So we have to address that and allow God to heal us in those dark places and those places that we don't allow anyone to touch or see. And then he can be everything that we need. We don't have to, wonder what it would have been like, if he had been here or whatever. It's like, okay, no. Let's focus on God being the Father and moving forward and us walking in healing. So, I mean, this is a process. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be an overnight thing. It's not. But as soon as you start to look at God being your Father, and allowing God to heal you, and whatever that healing is going to be, he's going to let you know. So get into, your private personal time with him and talk to him about it like he's your friend, because he is. It's like, God, I don't, this has been hurting me and I really, really want to move on from this. I need your help. And he's going to let you know what you need to do. Everybody's steps are not the same. That's why I can't give you 1, 2, 3, ABC. I can give you some general things to do. But God is going to tell you what you need to do. You might need to do something that I didn't have to do. And that's fine. But it's really about how much you want to be healed from it. And if you want to be healed from it, God is a healer. And he can do it. We just have to let him. Okay? So, do it for you. Do it for your family. Do it for your children to come. Do it for your marriage to come. There are so many other things that could be negatively affected if we don't allow God to invade these spaces. So I just want to encourage you guys. I love you so much. And I have been thinking about this and I just want to address it. God loves you. He wants to be your Father. Let him, okay? Let him heal you. I love you, queens. I pray that this helped you in some kind of way, the best way possible. Golden nuggets, remember? I love you. Bye.